So the first question is if you would please tell me who you are.
Well, I'm Richard Lang, and I live in London, and I have dedicated my life to sharing the Headless Way, which I was first came across 52 years ago when I met Douglas Harding, who wrote On Having No Head, and he showed me that I couldn't see my own head. Instead, I see the world, and I realized, yes, you're right, and that is seeing my true nature, perceiving it directly. And he said that anyone interested was welcome to come and visit him as a friend, not a student. So I went and became friends with him and all his friends. There were usually lots of people there at his house when I visited, all interested in this. So I grew up, I was a teenager when I first came across him. So I grew up in a mini community of people, very loose-knit network of friends who were all aware of their true nature. And I was particularly interested as well in sharing it. So I went to all Douglas's workshops, traveled with him, read everything he'd written, set up my own workshops, just hung out with people who were enjoying this simple vision. Of course, I got a job. I became a therapist in my life to earn money. I taught Tai Chi and dance. And so all of those things, relationships and so on. But at the heart of my life has been this astonishment about discovering who I am, and that you can see it directly anytime you like. And it has benefited me and my friends so much that I want to share it. So how's that sound? There you are for starters.
Yes, thank you so much, Richard. And there will be a nuance change in the second question. Would you please tell me what you are?
What I am? I don't know. But I'm looking out of it. But I would say, because I've got the experience, so I understand that my descriptions of it are never exact, but they will do. So I say that I'm space for the world, that everything is within me. I'm no thing full of everything. Appearing in this video as Richard. But I am now talking to Eric. So the wonderful thing is that actually, from my point of view, I'm not Richard, I'm Eric. I'm space for Eric. And I would say we trade faces. And I've got Eric's face and you've got Richard's face. So what I am depends on who I'm with. And what I really, really, really am is just this great, wonderful mystery of just being now, but full of whatever's going on. Yes. All right. Well, there's a provisional answer, Eric.
Thank you so much. And
you see, you did that. I don't know if the viewer sees that, but you did namaste. And namaste means, I think, that I honor the one in you, the one. It's the same as the one in me, the one. And there's a great mystery. So there seems to be two, yet there's one. And this sense of two is very important. It is not to be rejected. It arises within the indivisible one, this relationship between self and other. And it means that we genuinely are talking to each other as if we are not the other, yet about the fact that we are the other. So if you're not confused now, you will be in a minute.
It's amazing. You are coming into the third question totally, but I will answer it, or I will not answer it. I will ask it anyway and see if something more is coming. And the third question is, what is another?
I don't know. But having said that, it is You see, when you are, I say that there is a process of development within the unchanging one that you are. And when you're a baby, you are the one without knowing who you are as a person. You don't know what you look like. You don't know your name. You're pre-verbal. You look in the mirror, that's not you yet. So in a certain sense, as an adult, at least looking back and articulating that experience, I say that as a baby, I was the one without knowing who I was, because I had nothing to compare myself with. I was just the one. I was not yet aware of being Richard. And therefore, at the same time, I was not yet aware of others. I had no developed sense of others. I was primarily aware of my own experience and not yet empathizing and thinking what others are doing, thinking, feeling, all of that. Now, growing up, through language, through society, you learn to, in imagination, go outside yourself a couple of meters, turn around and look back through the eyes of others and see yourself as a person. So actually, you're seeing yourself as an other. From their point of view, you are other. You are a person. And you're taught to look in the mirror. There's another person there in the mirror, but you're taught to say, that's me. And you learn to put that on. So growing up is learning to see yourself as others see you, as a person, not as the one, not as this headless space, you see, as the one, as a person. So that is a progression, and growing up is learning which one you are in the world, and then identifying with that, getting, accepting that you are that one and you are responsible for that one. I mean, I'm responsible for what I say, what I think, what I do, you know. Otherwise, you can't function as a person in society. So I say that this is absolutely vital, of course. And what you're doing there is you're stabilizing your personal sense of self, your identity, me as Richard. I'm now completely convinced I'm Richard, you see. And I act and operate from that point of view. And therefore, I act and operate as if you are real and you are other and not me. And you have thoughts and feelings that are not mine. And I have thoughts and feelings that are not yours. This is understood. They call it theory of mind, that when you're an infant, you don't yet have a developed sense of others, that they have thoughts and feelings that you can't see. And that, I mean, when you're very young, your mum goes out the room and she's gone and you cry because she's disappeared, and she comes back, oh, thank God, she's back, you see, or here she is. But theory of mind involves recognizing that others are real and that they continue to exist when they go out the room, that kind of thing. You're able to hold an image of someone when they're not present, and you're able to hold an image of yourself, you see. So there's the development of self and other, which entails the suppression of awareness of your true nature. Because if, when you are growing up, you say, you know, actually, I'm not the one in the mirror, I'm space for the world. You wouldn't, but just let's speculate. And society would say, no, you're not, you're a person. Don't be silly. You're not space. Of course you're not space. You're a thing. See? So that's where you learn about the otherness, the reality of the other, and the otherness of yourself in that sense. You're one amongst many others. But the process of development doesn't have to stop there. You can go on to the next stage, and it's a totally natural process where you awaken to the difference between what you are for others, with a head and a background and a name and an age and all of that, the difference between that and what you are from your own point of view. So I look, it's not about thinking, you just look now. What do you see when you look at yourself? Well, I see nothing. You see. Well, the thing is to have courage and take that seriously and understand that it is different from what everyone else tells you that you are. And once you recognize that, you recognize that both are valid, that your your understanding of who you are in the world as a person and your understanding of others as other and real. That's one half of the equation, as it were. The other half is that from your point of view, there's no others. Everything is within you. There's no distance. There's no other consciousness than yours. There's only one consciousness. All flows from you. This very moment now is flowing out of your being and is therefore right. In detail, in the smallest detail, it is what is flowing from this mighty source that you are, you see. So when you, people then say, well, how do I maintain this? Am I going on to another question now? No, shall I just go on? Is there a meter ticking here?
We can go on forever, Richard.
Forever. Oops. So people say, well, all right, okay, that sounds wonderful to be aware of your true nature and the difference between what you offer yourself and what you offer others. But I notice it and then I forget. And I might forget for a month. I just don't, I find it so hard to remember it. I say, well, actually, I'll give you a tip. If you look at how you came to stabilize your personal identity, you did it because you were in a society that was telling you that all the time and you'd no option. And also you wanted to be a part of the society. You wanted to be able to do the things the adults could do and go on adventures and have friends and be independent, you see. You wanted all that. So those two things, the fact that you really wanted it was necessary, but we all do, really. It's a natural, it's like, does a plant want to grow? Yeah. So it's built in. And the other thing is that you were in conditions, a society that was reminding you of that and demanding it of you. And so in a sense, you'd no option, but that was really helpful because all the time people were telling me, you're Richard. And I was saying, yes, I am. And that's really important that you actually join in the process and say, yes, you accept it, but use your voice, you see. And you also tell others, you are Eric, you see, you are a separate person. And we continue to do that. Just the fact I'm saying, hello, Eric, is me reminding you of your appearance, you see. So we can't avoid it and we don't want to avoid it. And that means that it doesn't take that long, really, to stabilize your sense of identity so you don't even think about it. You don't go around having to remind yourself that, you know, you're Eric or I'm Richard. You just have got that going, you see. So then when you find out about your true nature, you say, well, how am I going to stabilize it? If you want to, that is important. And who would not want to when they find out what the benefits are, you see. That's huge benefits come with awakening to your true nature and great advantage in a way over those who are not aware of it. Not that it's a competition, but I mean, you've just got access to a resource that gives you confidence in life and opens up so many doors. But the other thing I say is, just as you were also in a situation where the conditions were favorable in society to stabilize your personal identity, somehow or other in your own way, create the conditions that are favorable for you to be aware of your true nature, such as hanging out with others who are aware of it. Because when you then say to them, I am space for the world, they don't go, no, you're not, no, you're not. They go, yeah, got it, so am I. And you go, that is like opening a door, you see. That. So there's that. Plus the fact that they will say it to you and that you'll share your insights, which is infectious. And just there's a mysterious level in which it just is infectious. I mean, there's only one, and you're both talking about being only one and two, you know. So I say hang out with others, make friends, and do anything else, you know, explore it, do research, read, whatever. Follow. You see, once you wake to who you really are, it's not the end. It's the end and the beginning of a journey. And part of that journey, I say, is an ever deeper admission of what you are, see, at root, which continues with an ongoing admission of who you are as a person. That does not stop. It's all tied in. But for example, the recognition that what you are and what others are, well, let's say the recognition of what others are, because that was the question, wasn't it? What is another? So in the first phase of development, your recognition of what another is they're a separate person who has thoughts and feelings that you can't access, and they've got their own life, and you know, and they're separate from you. And for them, you are other. You are a stranger. See, you are hidden. All right. That's what another is up to that stage. When you wake up to who you really are, that continues. But you add to it the awareness of who you really are. You see, how do you find out that another has thoughts and feelings? Because you've never experienced them. Well, they tell you that they do, and they say, I have thoughts and feelings like you do. Well, you experience your thoughts and feelings. So they say, okay, so you must have those. I do. And pain and pleasure. Yes, I do. So you accept their word for it. See, you say, they say, I am conscious like you are. And you go, oh, well, I am conscious. So they must be experiencing that. So that's how you learn what another is, by accepting, you know, believing them and applying the same conditions that you're experiencing to them. And you see, they say that you've got a face and that all your sensations and thoughts and feelings are somewhere behind that surface in your head, you see, and you accept that. See, well, of course you do, you know, and therefore you accept that behind their face are thoughts and feelings that you can't see. All right. So then when you wake up to who you really are, you see, there is no dividing line. My thoughts and feelings aren't in a box here. They're at large. I am the one. There is no other consciousness. Everything is flowing from me. See, now, I say that then when I talk to others, like to you, Eric, I say, isn't that the same? Is that the same for you? You see, are you wide open and contain everything? And you say, yes. So I thought, okay, so mysteriously, strangely, you are the same as me. I've already accepted you're the same as me in lots of ways. Now I say, well, I'm conscious. My consciousness has no boundary. It's not in a head. Everything is in it. Is that the same for you, you see? And you go, yes, yes. So then I say, so I am going to have to revise my definition of other. You know, because the other, as well as being not me, is now exactly the same as me, right? Which makes sense. So another, what is another? It is not me and it is me. It's a great mystery. And the one has become many for the purposes of this Zoom call this morning. So it can talk to itself. I better stop. Next question.
Yes, that leaves us, Richard, with the tiny inquiry about what life is.
What life is. Well, of course, the easy answer and the true answer is I don't know. But having said that, the void here that I am isn't just empty, it's also full, self-evidently, with no dividing line. And you see, you've got the experience. I say to the viewer, you've got the experience. You can't see your head. Instead, you see the world. People say, well, I don't think I get it. I say, can you see your head? No. See, point. Say, what do you see instead? The room or the sky or the world? So that's it. I said, really? But I mean, I don't feel any different. Good. It's not, you know, is the sky blue? Yeah. But you don't feel any different. I know, but it's just blue. You see, are you space for the world? Yeah. See, I say, if you stay with it, it will open doors and give you all the big experiences you could dream of. But the thing itself is a non-experience. It's empty. So you have to sort of speak in metaphors for it. So you see, this I say this way, it's empty and it's dead. There's absolutely no life here. Not even a flicker. You see, yeah, my hands disappear into it and come out of it, looking at one opening. Close my eyes, still no boundaries, nothing here. You see, just darkness, whatever. So I say in this direction inward, it's dead. Absolutely dead. But I can't notice that without seeing it's absolutely full and alive, brimming with life there. And it always is. It's like a fountain, you know, it always on. Niagara Falls, always flowing, you see. And so this is dead and that's alive. You know, it just, who you really are, I would say, is the only life. You know, I mean, at the level of you and me, all right, you're alive and maybe the desk isn't, you know, all right, what is life? You know, definitions like that. But the level of who you really are, I say, I am life. I'm the way that, you know, Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, the life, or something, whatever he said. I think he was talking about this. This you is who you really are. You're just timelessly alive. I mean, you cannot be extinguished because everything is within you. Nothing can harm the container or the source. See? So now to awaken to this is to be refreshed. And it's not something you, on the one hand, you can't develop this, you can't maintain it, it just is, timelessly, it just is, you see. But in terms of understanding, every time you come back to it, it's refreshing because it's just on and self-evidently alive, if you like. I mean, just nothing can destroy you. Now, to be aware of that is just very comforting, empowering, humbling. You know, that you being nothing are the place where the whole thing, including galaxies, appears. Now, only because you're nothing, you see. And so it's very humbling. And you don't lose your sense of individuality. I mean, actually who you really are is the true individual. That is the definition of being an individual, is being everything. See, there's nothing outside you, nothing can harm you. But then mysteriously, in the sense that we're talking, I'm talking to you, I'm aware that in a certain sense, although you're looking at the nothing, you've got a different view and different understanding. And there is a development at that level in one's understanding. And just as you mature into being a person by taking responsibility for yourself, I say you mature by, for example, saying, yes, I am the one. See, and I've always been the one, and everything flows from here. And you recognize, I recognize that there's a step when you just say, and I don't think you can force it, it just comes, you can't force this kind of change or development or maturity. It just, but you put all the conditions in and then you see what comes out, you know, the mix. But, you know, for example, just saying, yeah, I'm the one. This very moment now, with all its apparent imperfections, is exactly what I want. So I say yes to it. Whereas some time back, I might have said yes, but, you see. And you can't just decide, I think, to say yes. We are dragged kicking and screaming into heaven, you know, which is right where you are. But it is important to kick and scream. I think it has its place, its time, because when you stop, when it stops, you know, it comes with gratitude and recognition, really. You couldn't have had it if you hadn't been resisting. Well, there you go, Eric.
Thank you so much, Richard.
I want to say that one of the delights of seeing who you really are, of the Headless Way, is that it's so easily communicable. Look for your head. I mean, we've got all kinds of experiments. So we haven't been doing the experiments particularly here. We've been talking from it, but the viewer can explore that on our website. And it's important to do that, not just to argue the point with what I might be saying. The words are superficial, really. It's the experience that's the thing. And on our YouTube channel or whatever, there's lots of stuff. But what I find is that because it is so easily shareable, I say that from experience. I mean, I share it with hundreds of people, and more all the time. And someone will come into a Zoom meeting and I've never met them before. And from, you know, 1 minute's conversation, it's clear that they're seeing it, absolutely home. And I say, all right, there might be 30 people in the meeting. I say, so can you take us through an experiment? And I've never met them before. And they do, you see, because it's that simple. And this is one of the great pleasures of the Headless Way, coming out of the fact that it is so easy to share and you can't get it wrong. And that then, I speak for myself, I act towards others as if they've got it. Because, I mean, they have, as far as I'm concerned, because it's not difficult at all. It's the simplest thing in the world. So then this opens up a relationship of equals rather than teacher-student, for example. Because although I'm doing the talking here, Eric, I'm talking to you as if you're aware of who you really are and space for it, but you've got your different understanding, you see. It won't be the same as mine. Now, that's the pleasure of having friends that you share this with, is that there's something happens there. I mean, I wouldn't be thinking of these things unless I was talking to you. So this is what I'm saying now is not something I've learned. I'm saying things that I haven't thought of before. And that is arising spontaneously out of this situation, you see. So if you just were the only one aware of who you really were, and no one else was interested in it around you, you wouldn't have that opportunity to generate, to discover within that process, you see, with an other. So viewer, listener, if you want to enjoy that process, come and join us in our Zoom meetings.
It is a beautiful space, so I can definitely agree and recommend that gathering. Yeah.
Well, thank you for setting this up, Eric, and pleasure to see you again. Yes.
My big pleasure. Thank you, Richard.